Halafia, and welcome to this journey called Life Podcast with Sherna, Oshuni Sheshe, and this is Ty. Listen, y'all, we still working on this thing. So um, we're getting used to the um, movements in and outs with all the things and the things. And so just bear with us. We'll get the hang of it eventually. We hope that you enjoyed the intro that was posted on our podcast page, as well as the first episode. From what we received from the, what are the words that I'm looking for? From the response that we have received, it seems that you all enjoyed it. And so, thank you. I'm glad you did.
Absolutely.
We're going to We're going to try something a little different. We're going to see if we can do this video thing and see how we feel about it. But today's conversation is about healing, what it looks and feels like, and we'll hit a couple of different points. So we wanted to start with what the definition of healing is, because we like words and we like to fully understand words. And so the English word healing translates to Iosan in Yoruba. Remember, I am an Ifa priestess. This is my daily practice. And so I'm always going to try to bring it to that aspect just to respect my practices and to educate those who are unaware. Healing also refers to the process of becoming sound or healthy again, often used in context of physical, mental, or spiritual restoration. With that being said, part of the practice that we have in Ifa is to work towards our purpose. And in that experience, we are building up what we call Iwa or good character. So healing, of course, is a part of that because when you think about how much we are exposed to from birth, and then you go along this journey and you realize that there are other lives that you've previously lived, because we do believe in reincarnation. There are some things, some lessons that we've learned from previous lives that we have to heal from and apply. It's that saying of once you know better, you do better. Well, that's the idea. So we're trying to do better, right? Plain and simple. Look, I get in the kids' state of mind. Sometimes, you have the children that just don't want their parents to be like mad at them for doing stuff wrong and you get in trouble. Well, moving out of the place of fear, I just really don't want to have to relive certain lessons, right? In order to not relive those lessons, you have to focus on healing what boo-boos you have, right? So what healing looks like and feels like to me is, again, learning from my mistakes or learning from my experiences, because they're not necessarily mistakes when you look at it with a different lens. We have to do things to figure out what the outcome is going to be, and then if it does not work, try a different thing, because we don't want to function in insanity. Hi, what is? Tell them what the definition of insanity is.
Mhm. It's doing the same thing over and over again, but expecting a different outcome, which is unfortunately some people's track record, right? And of course, I'm sure that me and you may have done the exact same thing, thinking that forcing our way through something is going to make it work. Um, Even though we have seen it doesn't work, it actually stresses out more. We are causing more problems for ourselves when we are repeating the same cycle and not taking any accountability for our part in this situation. So, if you want something new, you got to do something new, right? I read something a long time ago, or my mother told me once, and then I read something that said to break a bad habit, it takes 30 days. Then I saw where it takes 90 days. Either way, it takes you breaking the bad habit. You got to do something different. You got to do something different. You got to figure out what caused you to get here. What was your part in the situation? And how you're going to change the way you respond, react, or move going forward if you want something different or something better. So, um, this topic of healing, it causes you to take a look at yourself first and understand you first. And sometimes that means being alone. And that doesn't mean not in a relationship. It doesn't mean not communicating with other people. It means spending time with you. What caused you to continuously have the same situation and outcome in your life? What is your part in this particular journey, and how do you break that cycle? This is what this conversation is about today, and you'll be quite amazed what that looks like. But it always starts with you. Um, so, with that in mind, um, you have a few examples that we want to kind of bring up that you shared with me this morning. Um, One of your examples was allowing someone to love you looks like healing. So let's talk about that one. And I would love for you to go first.
I bet you would. So listen. Oh, I love this. I love this because I just went through this recently within the last, well, I went through this most recently in 2021. I met my wife in December of 2020, and my dear sister here told me, because I would call her panicking, like, this woman is crazy. Oh my gosh, why is she so nice? Blah, 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 right? Why is she asking me these questions and wanting to know me? Why is she asking things that no one's ever asked before? Things like that. And so my sister said, with a smile, as she always does, because she is the big sister. She is probably the calmest. Yeah, she's definitely the calmest of the two of us. And, you know, but she would say, babe, just have fun. Just have fun. Allow yourself to have fun. Don't think too hard. I'm a whole Scorpio. Girl, what? And a ton of Virgo in my chart? Think hard. What? Who are you talking to? Being, right? So, anywho, what my wife kept reminding me of was um, that she just wanted to love me. She said, I just want to love you the way you deserve to be loved. Scared the shit out of me. What does that mean? What the hell does that mean? So when I met her, I was I had just a few months prior ended a relationship that was my final lesson before my blessing came. And I kept reminding her, I'm just looking for friends right now. I don't want to know, I want nothing deep. Just hang out, chill out, go out, just things like that, nothing deep, nothing heavy. Because I ain't got shit to offer. Nothing. I said, I'm done. I'm broke. I ain't got shit to offer you. So, what do you want? That was the biggest thing. What do you want? And very, very intense on the what do you want? Like, because everybody's got their hands out, right? Anyways, that was always her response. I just want you to let me love you the way you deserve to be loved. And I was just like, man, she's weird as hell, right? I keep talking to my sister. Every time she says something, I run to my sister, I run to my sister. Oh my goodness. Then I'm going and I'm sitting for divination with my godmother, and divination comes up and tells me in so many words, she's about to propose. Say yes. A little bit before that, I have a dream. Well, no, no, let me back up a little bit. My sister tells me a couple of years before, she said, hey, the person you're with is not your person. This is a lesson, learn the lesson and move on. I was like, okay. I didn't believe it, but I was like, okay. Then I have a dream because Spirit was like, oh, you're not going to listen to her? No. Because I don't believe it. That's not what I felt. That's gotta be it, right? But anyways, then I have a dream. Well, no, threes. Threes are always confirmation, okay? Threes. Everything happens in threes. Then the person I was with, that was not my, that is not my person, right? She has a dream, describes the person in the dream the exact same way my sister describes it. I've never told her what my sister said. Of course, I wouldn't tell her what my sister said. Come on now, why would I? My sister's telling me that she ain't the one, so why would I tell her, right? And then I didn't even believe it anyway, so I was just like, no. So then here comes Spirit, number three. I have a dream. I'm getting married. I thought I was marrying the chick I was with. However, my ancestors, my ancestors, I knew they were my people. They did not look familiar, but they felt very familiar. And they all came together. Every last one of them came together and said, this is who you're supposed to marry. And I was like, okay, well, let's do it. Y'all said it, let's do it. And in the dream, I become aware and I'm like, wait. This is not fair to this person that is my person because my heart is somewhere else. So in the dream, I said I can't do that to her because it's not fair. I can't hold her up from finding happiness if my heart's not with her and she's waiting for me to pull my heart from somewhere else because that's how I am, right? I don't want to harm people. I don't want to hurt people. I don't want to hold them up either. So the dream goes on, things happen because, I didn't go the way I was destined to go. And so they showed me chaos. I wake up from the dream, I write it in my journal. So that's number three. The girl reads my journal. She's having a whole fit because she's not realizing it's just a dream. I don't know these people, right? I'm not even believing my own dream at this point. These people. And so we get into an argument about a freaking dream. I said, okay, you know what? This is shot. Okay. So other things happen. We're not together no more. I meet my wife. We're just friends. I'm reminding her that we're just friends. And my sister's constantly reminding me, oh, just have fun. Just enjoy yourself. It'll work out. You'll figure it out. And then I talked to my supervisor because my supervisor and I both we're sisters, god sisters. And I told her, I said, yeah, this woman, she's weird. She's weird. And so she was like, well, aren't you weird too? Don't you do the same thing? I was like, what you talking about? She said, don't you love like that with your whole heart? I said, huh? I said, shut up. Ain't nobody asked you. She said, oh, but you did. She's an Aries. I said, okay, well, forget it. Let me just go on ahead and have this fun. Let me go on ahead and give into this. And I talked to my godmother, who is a Scorpio as well. She's a November Scorpio. I'm October. And I'm sitting with her and I'm telling her how weird this woman is. And she said, well, divination said. And I said, listen, all of y'all, look, I'm the last one to the message. All of y'all cannot be right because I'm right. Actually, no, I'm wrong. That was fear. I was still healing. And so she told me, don't Scorpio her.
Mhm.
And then I cried. I said, damn it. I'm Scorpioing her. I don't trust her because I was hurt.
Mhm.
And I was still working through that hurt. With my spiritual practice, I started going to therapy and things of that nature. And she supported me through all of this, all of it. She didn't question. She didn't look at me sideways. I was very comfortable. I was very honest and open with her. I was completely transparent. And she helped me in my healing process. And that was the scariest thing for me to do, to allow her to actually love me. Not want something from me in return, but just to love me.
Mhm.
It was so freeing. It's scary as hell. When you're used to chaos, when you're used to people always having their hands out for something, when you're used to always being depleted, it is scary only because you're used to it. And so once you learn how to navigate in that lack, anything different from it, please. What's the word? Insanity. Doing
Mhm.
something different. I mean, doing the same thing and expecting a different outcome. Man, that's freaking insanity. I was losing my mind. But just taking the first step to doing something different is what pulled me out of it. And I'm so happy that I trusted it. Eventually, I trusted it.
Yep. Yep. That
What about you?
whole. Mhm. Yeah.
You're about to. Okay, let me slow down.
Um, just that's this your story. Of course, I know your story backwards and forwards, and throughout the process, it was a beautiful process. Don't get me wrong. There were some struggles, but the struggles were all internal. So let's talk about that healing because the struggles are all internal. They really are.
Mhm.
And the reason why you're mentally and physically and emotionally fighting the change is because once you have lived in that chaos,
Mhm.
you are comfortable. No one talks about
Yeah,
that. No one talks
right.
about the comfortability that you finally find within your own chaos because you're used
Hmm.
to this happening. So this feels comfortable, and it's hard to verbalize that to others because you don't want to tell someone that you're happy in your chaos, or should I say you're
Right.
comfortable. You're comfortable in your chaos, because you don't see it as chaos. Because now you know what's going to happen. So because you know
Hmm.
what's going to happen, you can have control over what's going to happen. Oh, I know this is going to happen, so I have now built the wall
Yep.
around the comfort, and I can control this chaos, right? Because I'm comfortable
Mm-hmm.
with what's going to transpire. And when you start making different decisions and different choices, that feels like free falling because now you
Yep.
don't have the control that you used to have. 'Cause you don't know what's going to happen next. That fear creeps in, and you don't know what's going to happen next. And now you got to actually figure out something new. Hmm. Your nervous system is going haywire.
Mm.
So, you know, that's the thing about healing. It requires you to fall, and some people are afraid to fall. They're used to a safety net. And quite frankly, the safety net needs to be you. You have to
Mm-hmm.
save you. No one else can save you. You have outside support and tools that can help you understand why your brain is functioning this way, right? Um, and that's what's the most important. You need to understand why your brain is functioning that way. What's the root cause?
Mm-hmm.
Why am I having this struggle with love? Why is that? Why is it hard for me to allow someone else to love me? And if you are a full grown adult having this conversation, you forget when you were a child and someone you love failed you. You forget when you got in high school and your first crush and that person failed you. You forget that when you became an adult and got married, if you got lucky to get to that stage and then that fell apart, they failed you. So you forget what transpired over the years, that journey that you took to finally find someone that feels like they're supporting you to become yourself and then add love to you. Because that's really
Mm-hmm.
what it's about. It's not about finding someone that can love you up to who you are. It's someone that can support you while you still continue to love yourself. Um,
Mm-hmm.
that's the struggle. That's
Yes.
the topic that people don't have. That's the conversation people don't really have. And I honestly feel like we need to have that conversation more. Because anytime you change a trajectory that you're used to, it is scary. It is
Mm.
scary. It's scary. And you cannot get past it. But pushing through to understand the why of the fear is the most important thing in the world. I just wanted to share that before I jump into my story, because
Yes.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be honest, and I'm a love child. Because I'm a love child, love is my go-to. It's my first go-to, no matter what the situation is ever gonna be. So I never gave up on love, but I was okay
Mm-hmm.
with putting it on the back burner. I was okay with putting it on the back burner. Okay. So, with me, I do have two children, and I'm also married. And my husband is not the biological father either of my kids. So obviously, I was in relationships prior, right? And I also have been married before. And both of my children have different fathers. So I will definitely point this out, right? So that means that there is three people that you know for sure that I've been in relationships with, and that's what we're gonna stick with. That is mine. That is mine. My daughter, I had her when I was 19. My son, I had him when I was 21. So the first time I was engaged to get married, the second time I was married, right? So long story short, those relationships obviously didn't last.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course, being married, being engaged, not getting married, being engaged, getting married, and then being divorced. So I've been through a couple of relationships. Um, and through it all, I learned what I wanted. I understood what love looked like when someone else on the outside of me loved me. And I knew what it is that I wanted it to be, right? If I ever decided to do it again. And yes. In my mind and in my soul and in my heart, I knew that I was going to do it again. Why? Because Spirit has showed me multiple times me getting married to someone. And every time I had this dream, we were all in white vehicle, white SUV. Let me be real specific. A white SUV. And the gentleman was opening my door to let me out of the door. And I was carrying a child, a baby to be specific. And this gentleman, I never ever saw his face, but I can tell you his body structure and his, the way his arms sat and his back and all these things. But I could never see his face, but I knew who it wasn't. It wasn't the person that I was with. So I've always known that I was going to be a relationship that I was going to be in. I don't know when, I don't know what time. I just knew it wasn't the person that was laying next to me, right? So when my previous relationship ended, I learned a lot of lessons from that one. Let's just say I understood love more when I did get my divorce. I went in intentionally before, prior to the divorce, wanting to destroy that individual emotionally, right? But by the time it came for me to sign the dotted line, I had been working on myself, going to therapy, understanding root cause and what I needed to fix in me, what I needed to understand in me. And so when it was time for me to sign the dotted line, I was so much more healed. And that when I was asked um, in mediation what I wanted, I just wanted my last name back.
Well, same.
And I had been
Mm-hmm.
married over a decade. So, of course, legally, I could get quite a few things on a financial level, but I wanted my last name back. And I
Yeah.
also knew that um, it was better that way. And I
Mm-hmm.
also knew that the one thing I didn't ever want is to speak badly about my children's biological father to them or
Mm-hmm.
around them because I always wanted them to have a relationship with their biological father. And if there was something negative to be brought up or spoken about, it would be between the child and the parent, the biological father. It would not be because mommy said something, right?
Right.
Why? Because I knew what that felt like when I was a child,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right?
Same.
So you got to do something different if you want a different
Yep.
outcome. And so I learned that as a child, that was something I never wanted to display to my children. So when I did finally meet my husband, I knew that he was going to be my husband. Bottom line, I knew. And apparently he knew too. So excuse me, everyone, I am coming. I have some allergy issues and I have been struggling. So I apologize if you hear me coughing and clearing my throat flies. But um, loving my husband was the easiest thing in the world. Easiest thing in the world. Were there some challenges? Absolutely. Two people coming together who'd never been together before, and both of us being divorcees, we've seen a few things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we had real conversations up front. When I met him, he was giving me the breakdown of what he was looking for. And he didn't understand why he was telling me this stuff. I was looking for a wife, you know,
Mm-hmm.
I'm ready to settle down, blah, 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 blah. And this is day one of me just, I'm just saying, hey, but it was different. It was different from
Mm-hmm.
what I was getting prior to meeting him. Every time someone
Mm-hmm.
came at me, it was always with lustful eyes, and I'm like, yeah, I don't have time.
Right.
I got two kids. I worked hard. I also played hard. And I made
Mm-hmm.
sure that everybody had their needs, necessities met. I was also that mom that went to all the field trips. I was the math parent in the classroom. Um, I was the Girl Scouts mom. I was the sports mom. I did all the things, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I worked 12-hour days. I don't have time to play. No, got time to play,
Because
right?
what you won't do.
Right. Right. Come up and good and try to throw a wrench in the game. I got goals. I got places to be. I got things to do.
Mm-hmm.
I got a journey of my own. So let me go ahead and focus on my
Mm-hmm.
kids. Because that was the plan.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna
Mm-hmm.
focus on them till they graduated and then I could focus on me. Spirit was like, mm,
Mm-hmm.
that ain't what you that's what you thought you was gonna do. We gonna go ahead and go
Right.
ahead and remember that dream you used to have over the years? Yeah, let's go ahead and let's
Mm-hmm.
and why am I
Let's
saying
throw
this?
this in me real quick.
Let me tell you how spirit works. So when I first met my husband, he was also in the entertainment industry. And so with that being said, meeting women for him was easy. Easy peasy.
Let's make sure that we cleared
Mm.
this up because we adults and some of them their minds be he was not a stripper,
No, 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 no,
he
no,
was
no,
not a sex worker, nothing like that.
no,
That's
no,
not what
no,
she
no,
means.
no. He was an
No.
entertainment. He threw events,
Yes.
promotion, event planner, event
Yes.
promotional planner.
Because people be going sideways. They be
You're
like,
right.
maybe I should. No, that's
You're
not him.
right.
But
You're
continue.
right. No, 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 no.
He's an
And
event
so,
promoter. Continue.
yeah, and of course, pictures, taking pictures, and having photographers and DJs, blah blah blah. And so he would always have pictures of all his events on social media. This man had pictures of me on his social media account at events that I had went to. We had never met. Not one, but two sets of pictures of me and my girlfriends that we hung out with. Right? So it was we were being put in each other's path in different
Hmm.
in different ways. Okay, and we lived
Hmm.
in the same city. And when we finally met each other and got comfortable enough to be able to have that conversation of where I laid my head at, we found out we lived 2 miles from each other.
Wow.
So, and we went to the same grocery store. So I just wasn't in a space to be ready to meet him, right?
Hmm.
Emotionally,
Hmm.
spiritually, and vice versa. And so when it was time for us to truly meet each other, it was full force when it came to our love and our relationship and our conversation. And so, allowing someone else to love me wasn't as hard when you started having the real conversations. Not that what favorite
Right.
color. That ain't I can't sing it.
What's your favorite color?
That wasn't it. It was more of what do you expect in a relationship? What does a relationship look like to you? What is your idea of what that looks like? What is your idea of love?
Mm.
If I am stressed out, how are you going to handle me? What do you need when you are stressed out, right?
Hmm.
How do you pay your bills? Pay them on time? Grace period?
Hmm.
Right. It was that kind of thing. Is
Hmm.
your business and your personal life mingled?
Hmm.
It's real conversations. How you feel about
Hmm.
therapy?
Hmm.
Real conversations. So, needless to say, me and my husband became friends first before we ever moved into the lover space. And I believe that truly is what helped our foundation And to this day, we are still friends. And I met my husband. Um, I met him October 2009, I think it was. So we got married in June 2012. But it was time and being honest and ex talking about what my needs are and his needs and just being very black and white and meeting each other's families and all the things. And why is this important? Because I didn't believe in you don't have to meet my family. You're not marrying them. When people say you marry people's family, I'm a loner. I'm a loner. So what that means is, yes, I love my family, absolutely. But my alone time is so much more valuable to me because I do need to be able to sit with my own thoughts. I do need to be able
Mm-hmm.
to plan out things for the future. I do need to be able to reset because I'm the kind of person that can feel everybody's emotions around me, and that's exhausting.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Very.
do need to be able to be by myself. And the job that I have, I'm responsible for communicating with people all day long. Different
Mm-hmm.
kind of people, different kind of walks of life. That's a lot to take on when you do that 8 to 10 hours a day, Monday through Friday, and then you only have 2 days to reset. But yet I'm still a mom, so I also have to make sure I have to keep that hat on Monday through Sunday. So, trying to
Mm-hmm.
find time for me is the most valuable thing in the world for me. So yeah, I'm a loner. So when I am serious about something or someone, I do want my loved ones to know what that is. And so it was divine timing because I have these three older sisters that we talked about in the last episode, and we don't live next to each other. So it just so happened that all of us, all four of us, was together when my husband met them. And he was my boyfriend at the time. That had never happened. Prior to that, it had been maybe 7 or 8 years before all of us were in the same house with the same roof together. Again,
Mm-hmm.
divine intervention. Happened all the way it needed to, line the way it needed to line up, right? And then on top of that, it was the same time that, of course, I knew my father, my biological father, and my siblings. So, getting all these alignments and all of these pushes and nudges to where I need to be was the most important thing to me. And so being loved wasn't the issue for me. It was feeling safe. And so I felt safe. I felt safe. And I still feel safe. And it's so funny because I literally just had this conversation with my husband. And we're constantly having these type of conversations. Love,
Mm-hmm.
safety, um, being valued, right? Feeling like your voice is being heard, um, holding space, trust. Woo-hoo-hoo. So
That's a big one.
that's a big one. That's a whole other
That is
conversation. But
huge.
yeah, but yeah. So allowing myself to be loved hasn't been a problem. It was trusting the person that was loving me and making sure I felt respected. And when you yourself love yourself, and you trust yourself, and you respect yourself, having someone else love you is a bonus because it's all of you, right? So that was my example. And my on this love party. Yeah.
Man. So listen, you touched on some really, really important things there. The trust, the being able to sit with yourself. I didn't know how to do that for a long time. I would sit, but we wouldn't dig deeper when we sat with ourselves. We meaning me and all of this, right? We didn't sit well with ourselves without incorporating the external environment. I used to always look for outside confirmation. And so that coming back to the healing thing, or points rather, is very important because when you have looked towards the external for so long, what we say,
Yeah.
that habit is becomes difficult to break, right? And so yeah, all of the deeper conversations, like it was different for me in my first marriage. I didn't have all of those conversations. I watched him. I saw different things that he was doing, and I liked them, but we never talked about it. So the red flags that were showing, I didn't pay him any attention because I was, like I said, at that time looking for outside confirmation, um, and not trusting myself. So that huge, the trust. The trust, y'all, the trust is very important. I feel like knowing thyself is one of the most important parts of healing, to be able to accept your own hangups, to be able to identify and appreciate your strengths and see where you need a little bit of work in the areas that are not so strong, right? Not so great. To break the habits, whether the habits are something that you learned from someone else or just something that you accepted as your new norm based off of um, experiences that didn't treat you so well. Because I don't like to live. I realized that back then I was living in a delusion, and I don't want to live in delusion. I prefer truth now, whether it hurts, whether it's difficult to accept or swallow. I'd rather live in truth now. And that's what healing does. It presents the truth to you. And bit by bit, you have to start digesting it. Take a bite, taste it, swallow it, do what you need to do with it, and move on to the next thing. Right?
Mhm.
I also feel like when you allow someone else to love you, you have to first know how to love yourself. And I started telling people when I had different conversations, when people acted certain ways, but then they said, "Oh, I love you." I was like, "Mm-mm, there's no way, there's no way. Love should not feel like this. This hurt, like no." Um, and I think I feel like if you don't learn how to love yourself, you cannot properly learn or properly love anybody else for that matter, right? Um, I think that thought came out right. But anyways, I don't I don't think you can love anybody else without loving yourself first.
Absolutely.
I think that's a very important thing that folks need to sit down and take some thought with, because okay, like I know we've spoken about boundaries from time to time, and boundaries are not in place. They should not be in place to keep the world out, right? I feel like boundaries are to be put in place to protect yourself in such a way that you don't allow just anything to come in. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. And they come up, they are put in place because you love yourself. And because the love that you give yourself, you want to also eventually share with others, but the boundaries have to be in place so that you don't, what's the word? Yeah, I see playing cards. I hear renege. Yeah,
Mhm.
renege on yourself, right? All right, grandma with the spades, right? Don't be reneging, right? Don't be reneging on yourself. Like, oh, there's so many thoughts flooding right now. But just loving you first is should be the priority before you think of bringing in other people into that space. Um, and I'm not completely clear on how that will look in a child, right? Because I just haven't sat with spirit on that to think into that. But I know as adults, we have to learn to love ourselves, especially if we didn't have what we needed from childhood, right?
Mhm.
Because I see people all the time telling their stories and their, on social media, and I'm not heavy on watching social media because, a lot of people lie, and it's a lot. It's a lot of different stuff, different energetic things coming through, and we don't need time for that. That's chaotic sometimes. However, there are some stories that are shared where parents are instilling values and you know, self love and building their children up and things of that nature. And they have a more healthy upbringing compared to some of us who didn't have some of those things, right? Um, if I had to come back again, because I know, listen, I know this was a blessing. This was, I wanted to come back. Okay, I accept that. I wanted to come back. Why? I was gifted the opportunity to come back to do the work that I need to do, right? And I have a purpose. However, if I had to come back again, I would not want to repeat some of the same things that I've done this lifetime. I don't want to bring children into a broken home in a sense of me as mom being broken. Or even if I came back as a man, I don't want to be broken when I father children if I had to come back in another lifetime. I want to keep that lesson, okay? I want to keep that lesson in my spirit so that, I don't make the same mistake. I love my babies dearly, I do. And they have healed through some things and are still living life and they're thriving and I'm very proud of them. I will forever be proud of them. However, I do sometimes wish that I could have given them a better upbringing. Right. I tried. Um, I know I could have done better, but I want to do things differently if I had to come back. That's just my little, it's just my little, it was a thought and it was sitting there and it was just like, I need to come out. So I just want to share that. But yeah, there we go. Jeez.
This is a good
Y'all.
topic. This is a good topic. And I think that
Isn't it
we're gonna have to break it out to multiple shows because you pointed out something very important about a child's
though?
um perspective of love, right?
Mm-hmm.
And children know what they're taught.
Yeah,
Bottom line,
absolutely.
children know what they're taught. They come into this world nothing but a bundle of love, but then they become molded.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the adult has a hand in molding their children. And that's just focusing on the love aspect of it all, right? So
Mm-hmm.
we both kind of touched on our upbringing and what we experienced as children.
Mm-hmm.
And we definitely know that that always carry over to us as adults. So I remember very clearly my conversations, mental conversations that I had about love and my ideal
Mm-hmm.
of it. And I knew where I quickly, as a child, can identify different people's feelings and emotions. And that is a heavy weight to carry as a child.
Mm-hmm.
You can feel other people's emotions and not able to identify if it's your emotions or if it's someone else's emotions, and not even knowing that you have that gift.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember very clearly my mom's reactions and responses whenever my father's name came up.
Mm-hmm.
So I was able to identify as a child that she was hurt because we didn't talk about my biological father, our father in my house. It was my sister who talked to me about my father.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the sister that, the second oldest sister, who who is a Pisces, by the way, a February Pisces. I'm a March Pisces. She's a February Pisces. And that does matter. So,
Mm-hmm.
she was the one that told me who he was, what he looked like, where he was from, the family's name, how I looked like him and his people. And I never had to cry a day in my life about who my father was. My mother was not having that conversation. All right. She was not. It was not happening.
Right.
She became a different person when his name came up. And I identified early that it was because she was hurt.
Mm-hmm.
So I was able to separate um, what love looked like based on her response to it.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, she was very guarded because of some of the things that she experienced in love. And I saw that as a child. So I was able to discern these things as a child and
Mm-hmm.
internalize them and not allow them to make me look at love as if it was a stain that needed to be rubbed out.
Mm-hmm.
So if I could do that as a child, I knew when I gave birth to my own that I had to be careful what I said. I had to be
Mm-hmm.
mindful of how I communicated if I was upset or angry with their father. Um, I had to be mindful of my words because they shaped them as children.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned that because of watching my own mother,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you had this conversation a while back, and I said something along the lines of because of this moral compass that I have that's internal to me, I'm careful.
Mm-hmm.
So regardless of how upset I might be by a subject, I check it, I mental check in.
Mm-hmm.
Myself, and I have these mental conversations. To if I'm going this way and I start doing one of these,
Mm-hmm.
that voice in my head said, "Hold on now, let's
Mm-hmm.
course correct,
Yeah.
right? Let's course correct." And I listen, I check in, I listen, I do reevaluate. Yes, am I stubborn? Absolutely, totally, totally stubborn. But at the same time, I know how far to take it. So when it came to love, I did have to be able to say, all right, this happened, it broke, how we fix it? What did we learn? What did
Mm-hmm.
we learn? Did we learn anything? Or we're gonna repeat the same thing over and over again? Because I'm tired. I'm
Mm-hmm.
tired of my own shenanigans. Okay, right? So when it comes to children, which I think we definitely our next topic of conversation will indeed be about children and their
Mm-hmm.
parents and allowing your children's voice to be heard. It's one of the most
Yes.
important things I think that you can do as a parent because we're not just raising children, we're raising children to become adults in the society. And we know the society is not easy. So, how are you communicating to your children about love and respect and the way to navigate life when it comes to this topic of self-love, right? And what that looks like.
Mm-hmm.
But do you also have to be able to allow them to talk to you about how they feel, their emotions, how they see you, what you do that makes them happy, what you do that makes them sad. And so,
Mm-hmm.
having these type of conversations with the little people that you produce in this world is most important, very important, because you should be able to communicate with them your lessons to help them when they grow up to identify the flag, whether the flag is green, yellow, red, blue, purple, helping them be able to do that. And you can, no matter what color what age they are. You just have to be able to tailor your conversation to be age appropriate. And I think that at some point we'll probably have our kids interview to have these type of conversations, the dialogue, and help them share, what their perspective was on what we talked or communicated with them because our kids are grown
Yeah.
at this stage. Our kids are what 18 and up at this stage in
Yep.
this stage of our life. So, right? I think what one of our kids range from 18 to 29, right?
18 to
Oh no, yeah.
um
How, how old is son?
36. 36. 18 to 36. Yep.
18 to 36.
Mm-hmm.
Our children's age ranges.
Yeah.
So we some of us we grew up with our kids. Our kids grew up. Our firstborns grew up with us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they sure did. So they saw a lot. They were mommies to their siblings. I mean,
Yes.
I ain't gonna take that away from them because
Nope.
they love their siblings just as hard as we love them, as if they gave birth to them themselves. So, I
Yes.
mean, then there's a whole another conversation about the DNA in the womb and all that other stuff too. So,
Yes.
my girls and told me, my oldest, she didn't put it out there. Well, the oldest daughter, she was like, "Yeah, girl, because all of y'all got a piece of me." And I listen, whatever. Yeah. Hey, science, right?
That's right.
Biology,
Biology.
DNA, all that. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I
Um,
mean, can't tell
that's
her she
my
ain't got a whole bunch of kids. Can't tell Todd either. Shoot.
mm-mm. Not at all. Not at all. So, this subject on healing I think, is a ongoing conversation that we most likely will have throughout this podcast because that's what life is really all about. At every step
Yeah.
of anyone's journey, there has to be some level of healing, something that was cracked or broken.
Mhm.
And I know that it's very difficult to say that, but we also about being honest. I'm a realist. And if you listen
Absolutely.
to the intro, I literally say that I am a realist. What does that mean? That means I ain't sugarcoat nothing for you. I'm not gonna do it.
Nothing.
If you want real honesty, truth, and a dialogue for the next stage, that's gonna be me. Because I'm not gonna
Hmm.
sugarcoat that thing for you. We have to
Right.
be able to look at ourselves in the mirror and be honest, truthful with us. Why? Because society will lie to you every single day. Social media will lie to you. TV will lie to you. I ain't lying. I only want truth because I can
Hmm.
accept the truth. A lie is much more painful than the truth. A lie will cause you to go in the wrong direction. And you know for a fact that your soul is telling you to go right and you continue to walk left or in circles. Why?
Hmm.
Because it feels better.
Hmm.
Because it's
Yep.
easier.
Because you
The
already know what the outcome's
What's
gonna
gonna
be.
happen over there? Yeah, no, give me something new.
Yeah, this one ain't gonna work. We're gonna do this. We're gonna keep doing this over and over and over again. Am I happy? No, but it is what it is.
Right. Mm-mm. I
Why?
need. Mm-mm. I need a clear direction that's going to assist my growth and development,
Hmm.
whether that's personal, professional, or spiritual. And I need that constantly in my life. I, Ty, need that
Right.
constantly in my life. I am all about growth and development. Always have been,
Hmm.
always will be. And of course, when you're dealing with that, it's going to be a lot of changes, a lot of new situations. And I understand that having fear causes me to stunt my growth. So I'm going to do it blind. I'm going to do it with glasses. I'm going to do it in the dark.
Right?
I'm going to be Nike all day. Just do it. I'm going to just do it. I'll figure it out when I get through there. But take me through there. Let's go.
But we're gonna learn on a whim, baby.
Yes, yes.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
definitely learn on a whim because play with somebody else. Play
Play
with
with somebody
somebody else. I ain't the
else.
one. I
Mm-mm.
do it. I ask you all the time because he's a divine messenger. Like, confuse somebody else. Don't confuse me. Give it to me straight.
Mm-mm. That part.
I ain't got
That
time.
part.
I've been lied to too long, and I was the biggest liar to myself. So, give it to me straight.
There you go.
Please and thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Shoot,
Mm-hmm.
listen. Going through healing, it forces you to strong people to make the choice to heal.
Yeah.
When you choose to heal, you are asking your ego to have a seat. Right now is not your turn. Have a seat. Have several
Mm.
seats. Because ego has a purpose, right? We can look, that's a whole nother conversation for another day. However, ego has a purpose in your life. You cannot, I don't think you can get completely rid of you cannot get a, oh my God, words. You cannot get rid of ego. However, you can choose to not lead with it.
There you go.
That's how I feel. Um, I think you'd be lying to yourself and it'd be a great disservice to yourself to think that you can just magically make ego just disappear. I don't, that's just a personal feeling. I don't know. I haven't confirmed that with anybody. I haven't seen any reports or nothing like that. I just feel like that is a part of you needing to learn how to navigate your life, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it takes courage to heal. It takes courage to accept accountability for your life,
Mm-hmm.
your decisions, your actions. Courage. It takes courage. I mean, because I know very well some very hurt people who choose to sit in that cycle. Um, and I feel sad for them sometimes because I know that is a choice. I know I used to be one of them. Um, so mm, I try to hold space for them. I don't want to say it the wrong way because it's not making sense in my it's there's a lot of confusion around people in chaotic cycles, right? You could it's sometimes it's very difficult to avoid falling into someone else's chaos. That's why you have to be very careful about your boundaries and you have to have
Yes.
them in place in such a way that you can navigate
Mhm.
so that you don't get sucked up into anybody else's chaos. But when you choose to heal, baby, them pink flags become bright red. They start glowing and shit. And then they be like, then your whole spirit team be like holding you back, and you, oh, what, what? I want to. No, lead them to their devices. Leave them be, because sometimes that's just the choice that they made.
Choices and consequences.
Yeah, they have to. In order for them to learn or not learn from it, they
Yeah.
have to deal with the consequences. So, man, yeah, this conversation is going to be, yeah, this conversation is over. There's so much
Yeah.
coming in right now.
Yeah.
Um, that I'm literally in my mind. I am putting things in
Hmm.
place. Hey, okay, all right, we'll talk about this another time. But
Hmm.
yeah, listen, did you want to add to that? Like,
I think that I just wanted to share that while we are indeed talking about this healing, what healing looks like,
mhm,
and understanding that it is indeed a journey. It's not going to happen overnight. It may take several years, because I know for a fact it did for me. So understanding, just like we said, there are indeed choices and consequences, and something that I would share with my children. Um, what you do today impacts your future. So
mhm,
be mindful of the choices that you make and be prepared for the consequences of those choices. So making sure that you understand you are indeed accountable for your choices, and that is a hard pill to swallow in certain
mhm.
situations and circumstances. And I do understand that. So we're not here to have this conversation to make anyone
Feel any type of
feel
way.
right.
Yeah.
That's not what this is about. This is
Mm-mm,
truly
mm-mm.
about understanding that healing is ugly.
Mhm,
That's the truth of it. It's ugly. And it
mhm.
does require courage. It does require courage. And some people do indeed struggle with making different choices. Because trust me when I say both of us have an experience as being in an abusive relationship, whether that was a physical abuse or if that was mental abuse. And while physical abuse may leave physical scars that can heal, mental abuse causes you to not trust who you are as an individual and causes additional cycles to take place that
Mm.
requires therapy or someone else to assist and support you to heal to the bare minimum, be able to look at yourself in the mirror and say, I love you. And that is not easy when you have had years and years of trauma being told that you are not worthy enough to heal or love. So
Mm-hmm.
understanding is one of the most important things, and that is also one of the most difficult things. So this particular podcast is indeed about saying, we see you.
Mm-hmm.
And yes,
For
healing
sure.
is indeed possible. And yes, it is capable. But you do need to make the first step. And one step is don't lie to yourself.
Right.
If anybody lie to you, that's cool. That's for them. But you need to understand people can only meet you where they are. And
Mm-hmm.
everyone isn't meant to go on the journey with you. That's why it is indeed called the life of journey, your life, your journey. Everyone's not meant to go with you. Healing requires loss.
Mm-hmm.
It requires letting go. It requires letting go of the old version of who you were. It requires meeting new people that's going to help
Yes.
you to see who yourself is. That's difficult when you're not used to letting anyone in, when you begin building up these walls, thinking that the walls are going to save you. It's not if you don't accept the truth, right? So
Mm-hmm.
this topic will probably be extended for multiple episodes because there's different aspects of healing, and there are a couple that we definitely want to discuss. Of course,
Yes.
you yourself, what it looks like for you, what your journey is, where you are in that journey, what it took to get you there, your children, if you have any, what that looks like for them. Are you
Okay.
able to have a conversation with your kid and allow them to tell you how they feel about you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then outside influences, how you respond and react to someone who is trying to break you down in your healing journey. And if you're reactive or decide what you should say, if anything at all, sometimes silence is the best recourse. So,
Mm-hmm.
and then um, being with like-minded people, what that looks like. Being with someone that assists you in growing in your journey. What does that look like? How do you know? Having discernment, what that feel like, you know? And if you are allowing that voice in your head, which is called a conscious, right? Um, tell you and you listen to it because it's trying to help you. Back in the day, we used to always give aspects of the angel and the devil, right? Angel and the devil, angel and the
Mm-hmm.
devil. Well, it's not here, it's actually here.
Yeah.
And you being able to listen to the voice and decide which one is actually trying to help you and which one is trying to bring it down, and how you're able to silence the one that's bringing it down, right?
Mm.
So like, healing isn't just linear.
No,
Nothing
not at
about
all.
healing is linear. That's not what healing is, an thing, everyday thing, because even music can bring the old you back, and that's a whole nother conversation. But
Right.
um, healing is about bringing all aspects of yourself to the front of the room, but
Mm-hmm.
you still control which ones you need to utilize based on that scenario. Because your ego is important. Your ego is
Yeah.
important. Your ego has helped you in multiple places and times. Your ego was the one that was the crash out because your ego ain't gonna allow nothing to hurt you, right?
Mm.
But you need to know when to use it.
Right.
You need to know when to use it. And so that's what this conversation is going to be about for the next probably couple episodes. But we'll
Mm-hmm.
see. We'll figure that out. Um, but I know that we have held you all for quite some time.
Yes. See, look, but it's okay because they got a pause button. They can always pause it and come back to it because that's what I
Right.
do a lot of times.
That's
I
right.
binge listen to my podcast and then I pause it and come back to it because sometimes that meat needs a couple of chances to be digested. Okay,
That's right. That's right. This is
so
a good one. I love this one.
yeah. Me too, girl. I'm so excited for the rest of it. Whew.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, as always, listen, we thank y'all for joining. We thank you for listening. Please leave a comment, a question, a suggestion.
Mm-hmm.
Um, tell us what you want to hear, want to hear our perspectives on. Tell us what you want us to address, and we'll definitely take those things, especially if it's something that we've experienced, into consideration. And if you want to be called out, let us know that too. But
Absolutely.
thank you as always. Um, Listen, if I loves you, I love you. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day or night whenever you're listening to this.
Mhm.
Peace.